Hey guys, Dwayne here. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about The Rise of Skywalker. The Last Jedi left a bad taste in my mouth, specifically how they handled the death of Luke Skywalker, but I decided I would go in with an open mind and just enjoy the film. After seeing it, I think J.J. Abrams should be commended for making a valiant effort to right the ship after The Last Jedi. He has clearly left his mark on the end of this trilogy. As far as the plot goes, the Resistance has discovered, due to a galaxy-wide broadcast, that Emperor Palpatine is still alive and has been amassing quite an army over the years since his disappearance. Kylo Ren investigates where the source of the broadcast came from and finds a physically impaired Palpatine. Palpatine wants Kylo to kill Rey, and then Palpatine will give Kylo his army and armada of Star Destroyers to rule the galaxy. Rey is continuing her Jedi training with General Leia Morgana. She discovers Luke Skywalker's Jedi texts about a Sith Wayfinder that will lead them to Palpatine. The trio of Rey, Finn, and Poe travel to Pasaana to find the Wayfinder so they can stop Palpatine. Along the way, it is discovered that Rey is in fact Emperor Palpatine's granddaughter. That's a lot to pack into one movie, which is kind of the problem. This should have been split into two movies. In the end, this movie feels like a jumbled mess with some good scenes and tons of fan service. J.J. Abrams should have directed all the films in this trilogy because I believe he had a roadmap of how the trilogy should start and end. I think Rian Johnson decided to do his own thing in The Last Jedi, which is why the trilogy feels disjointed. Say what you will about George Lucas, but his trilogies felt consistent despite the sometimes stilted dialogue. Daisy Ridley is great as Rey, as she has to come to terms with being the granddaughter of Palpatine. She expresses a lot of anger and complex emotions that come with such a revelation. I thought the scene with her trying to use the Force to bring the ship back, and then the accidental burst of lightning from her hands destroying the ship was effective in showing how shocked she was at her own power. Finn is actually given a lot more to do in this movie than he has in previous films. He's very charismatic, and his friendship with Poe and their banter is one of the pluses of the film. We get a little bit of his backstory with the conversation he has with Jannah, as she was once a stormtrooper as well. Poe is also great in the film, especially when he has to take on the mantle of general when Leia passes away. We also get a look into his past with the introduction of Zoe Bliss. Apparently he was a spice runner before he joined the Resistance. I wasn't a fan of Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens because he seemed weak after Finn and Rey were able to hold their own in a lightsaber battle with him. In this film he seemed to be calmer and in control just like Vader was in the original trilogy. His conversion to Ben Solo seemed a little bit rushed to me, but maybe J.J. Abrams planned to explore this throughout the trilogy. But again, Rian Johnson decided to go in a different direction. Nevertheless, Adam Driver did a great job with his character. The lightsaber battle between Rey and Kylo Ren on the remains of the second Death Star in the middle of the ocean was pretty awesome. The stunt work and fight choreography for this scene was well executed, and also the sheer power of the ocean crashing around them made the scene exciting. It's probably my favorite part of the film, and probably the best lightsaber battle of the trilogy. The special effects are well done, but I would expect nothing less from J.J. Abrams. The characters of Zoe Bliss and Jannah look like promising characters. I wanted to know more about the connection between Zoe and Poe in their days as spice runners. The same could be said about the connection between Jannah and Finn as former stormtroopers. Again, I think these characters were meant to be introduced in The Last Jedi, but Rian nixed the idea. As a result, these characters are not given much to do. One last thing. Why would you hide Kerry Russell's beautiful face and hair behind a mask? Speaking of not much to do, Rose Tico has a very diminished role in this movie. Kelly Marie Tran seems like a nice person, but Rose Tico is a terrible character. I don't blame Kelly for that. I blame Rian Johnson. I guess the romance between Finn and Rose in The Last Jedi seems to have been retconned, since they hardly say anything to each other in the film. I never bought the romance between them. It seemed forced. The return of Palpatine seems like a desperate attempt to come up with a villain, since Snoke was killed off in the previous film. But I'll give J.J. Abrams an A for effort for trying to make us believe that Palpatine was using Snoke as a puppet for his plans the whole time. It was good to see Lando again, but he isn't given much to do in the film. Plus, I sort of get the impression that Jannah is his daughter in that scene at the end of the film. Again, I'm sure J.J. Abrams wanted to explore that in Episode 8, but Rian Johnson did his own thing. There seems to be a pattern here. It's sad what happened to Carrie Fisher, but I'm not sure using the leftover footage was a good idea. I did like that her daughter played the younger version of Leia in the film. One last thing. What did Finn want to tell Rey? I think we can all guess. I always thought that Finn and Rey had great chemistry in the first film, and there was a hint of a romance. In this film, though, his love for her seems one-sided, as it seems Rey is oblivious to his feelings and more focused on Kylo Ren. It sort of makes Finn a pathetic character which is how it comes across on the screen. But I guess in the end, Finn gets no love from Rey or Rose. His trilogy started off great with The Force Awakens, even though it was basically a rehash of Episode 4 A New Hope. It was all downhill from there. I remember shaking my head after seeing The Last Jedi and thinking, what did I just watch? My favorite films from the Disney series so far are The Force Awakens and Rogue One. In my opinion, these are the two strongest films. I tried watching Solo, but lost interest halfway through. There have been rumors that Jon Favreau will be taking over for Kathleen Kennedy after her 3-year extension. Maybe that's for the best. So in conclusion, there are parts that I liked and parts that I didn't like, but the film is worth watching. If you're a Star Wars completist, then definitely see this film. But what did you think of The Rise of Skywalker? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe. If you didn't like the video, then you can blame it on Dwayne. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.